Everyone, I'm so excited for our chat today. Scott Hoying is someone, of course, GLAAD knows and loves from Pentatonix and, of course, solo music, Grammy winner, all of the things. We've worked so much with you. And today I'm so excited to also get to know his mother, Connie Hoying, who is putting out a book called The Untold Story of Scott Hoying, Pentatonix Star, My Son's Journey to Find Harmony in Music and Life. And guess what? It's coming out just in time for Mother's Day, which I love. And I'm super excited to be chatting with the two of you right now. Connie, let me start with you because, like I said, I'm just getting to know you. Why was it important for you to put this book out into the world? I know that you and Scott, your son, have such an important bond, and you must be so proud to see his rise to, like I said, so many successes in music and beyond.
A lot of the reason is because over the last 10, 15 years, I have had so many parents come to me and say, "What did you do to raise him? What what specific things?" And then also I have two other daughters that be like, "How'd you get such three successful children?" And then they'd want to know who's the musician in the family, you or your husband. So there's lots of questions. And they say, "Why don't you tell your story? Write a book, write a book." And I'd be like, "Oh no." At first, it was like, that's a huge undertaking. Well, first, we retired right before Scott's wedding. And then Scott got married. He was the baby, last one. And all of a sudden, like right after that wedding, I was just like, maybe I will write a book. You know,
Yes.
our life has so many interesting things and it could be informative, especially for all the parents who've been asking me, you
Mhm.
know, what we did, what Scott did. So August 2023 started in and it's I can't believe May 6th. Here it will be. And oh, and yes. And I already got my copies.
There it is. Scott, what was how much, influence? I know you wrote the foreword, but how much were you involved in this process with your mom? Because obviously it's, your story as well.
She would call me and ask me stories and like reminders of things in the past that had happened. And it was actually really cool. It was cool to one see my mom just so incredibly inspired and just like had this like hyper passion and hyper focus on it. Like she was calling my friends and interviewing people and going through old videos, and the passion for it was really, really a beautiful thing. And then it was also cool for us to dive into like my coming out story when I was, like, in the car on a drive home from a piano lesson and, like, just, like, told her all of a sudden and that whole experience because 'cause we'd never really, like, revisited that in a lot of years. So it was really cool, and I also am at an age and feel in this place in life where I can really be present and grateful for that moment and how pivotal that was in my life.
Connie, I think at GLAAD we are doing all that we can to remind parents, especially out there, that supporting their LGBTQ kid and embracing who they are and their identity and their journey is so key to having kids that feel loved and go on to be successful, just like Scott. Tell me about your experience, obviously, with Scott just mentioned about coming out, but then also wanting to be a supportive parent for Scott.
When Scott told me, he was super upset. I mean, he was almost sobbing. And so when he told me, I felt like I had to tell him right away, "Hey, I love you so, so much. This doesn't change anything, doesn't change that. Your family, your sisters, your dad, we're all going to, I know they're going to feel that way too." So because I don't know if he was afraid that I was gonna say, "Oh," because he's heard. I mean, we've all heard those stories of someone comes out and the parents kick them out, which is beyond my comprehension. But yeah, and then after that, I just wanted to help him with the journey. I wanted to learn all I could. I just wanted to be there for him. Granted, I made mistakes, I feel, even though Scott's very forgiving on those, saying they weren't really mistakes, you're just learning. I'm hoping parents of gay children read this book because, well, I'll give a little example. A friend of mine who's a counselor said she knew I wrote this book and she knew that chapter was in there. And I think I may have even let her read it. And she came to me and said, "Hey, I have two kids, but with parents who are asking me so many questions. Can I let them read that chapter?" This was like 6 months ago. I'm like, Oh gosh, I really want to say yes. Yes, but they have to sign a non-disclosure because they cannot let this chapter get out. I would get in a lot of trouble. And so I sent it to her, they read it, and like a couple of weeks later, she just called me and was crying. She said they were bawling and it's gonna go down a really great path, I think, for both of these kids. And I'm just thank you, thanking me. And so I'm thinking, oh gosh, I hope that's a thing that, continues. That's important. I mean, parents, it's your child. You've loved them, you've raised them. Scott was 17, and I just can't imagine having gone down any other path. And I knew I had to convince him that nothing was going to change. I mean, he's my son. We love him, and that was that.
Scott, what do you remember the most about that? Hearing your mom talk about it when you were 17, you were in the car on the way home from piano lesson. I remember my experience and being that fearful moment of just worrying about being rejected or you're, upsetting your parents.
Oh my gosh, it makes me emotional just to thinking about it. I think when you're in the closet and nobody knows who you like truly are, then you have no proof to yourself that you're truly loved. Because, like, of course my parents love me, of course my family loves me, but they don't know my biggest secret. So, like, there's that caveat. And so I think it's a really scary moment when you come out to the people you love the most that you know is your safe place and think, will I lose the one like safe place that I know I'm always loved, like the rock, the central place. Not that they gave it any like inkling that that would happen. There's like so much homophobia you grow up with that you just like think of it as such this awful thing, and it was so scary, and that's why I love GLAAD so much because of y'all's dedication to like representation in media. Because I didn't have that, and I had nothing to look towards as a guide. That's why I love what you were just saying, Mom, because I feel like you can be an example of a parent just using love as a North Star when, like, supporting their child and them coming out and that leading to success. So I just yeah, I was scared that I was going to not feel loved and feel alone because you never know how someone's gonna react.
Connie, GLAAD is doing a lot of work in the space of faith, specifically to kind of break down these incorrect notions that someone can't be LGBTQ and be someone of faith, or you can't be someone of faith and support people who are LGBTQ. Spending time in Texas and your family there, did you feel like the faith part of it was something that you had to kind of navigate as well as being a accepting parent of an LGBTQ son?
Well, that has definitely been an issue for me. I mean, I'm still very spiritual. Now it's kind of a one-on-one God and me type thing where I grew up in the Catholic Church, cradle Catholic from birth on. Scott sang in our church choir for probably 20 years. It was a really neat thing, and we were very involved in the church. Well, the Catholic Church does now say that being gay is not a sin. I don't know exactly when they came out with that. They say you can be gay, but you can't act on it. What? I
That's
just
so
find
fun.
it crazy. And then Scott couldn't get married in the Catholic Church. They won't acknowledge his marriage. So obviously, I had issues with that. Haven't gone back to the church, but like I said, I still am very spiritual. And you know what? God and I, we have a great relationship, and that's what's important to me. Not a building with a priest.
Connie, I want to tell you because this is going to be a story soon, and some people know about it. We've talked a little bit about it, but GLAAD and our president, Sarah K. Ellis, literally has met in person with the Pope at the Vatican to kind of have really great open conversations about Catholic Church really expanding their views and acceptance. And so I feel like piece by piece, we're getting there. So we know that he's open and to that. So that's been a big
I did not know that. That's
yeah,
incredible.
it's been a big win for us. It's like so many things that we've done I never thought would even be possible. We've met with the Pope, we're official partners at the Super Bowl. I mean, it's really great
Wow.
the work that we're doing. But Scott, back to you. I've said so many times that I think that once people fully accept themselves, the art that they can create or whatever it is that they're putting out into the universe is going to be so much better because it comes from a place of authenticity. It comes from just an open and honest place. Obviously, you have had so much success. I would imagine that you would agree, being 17 and coming out and then kind of just being on this path into so much success. Is that something you agree with?
I agree with that 100%. I really, really believe that. I think that just being able to be your authentic self just takes away the layers of having to be in a character because people can feel it. You always make the best art when you're like, with your friends and y'all are just making something you love and you feel like a kid and you're just like completely unfiltered, and that energy is what's bottled up and put into the art. And you can't, well, sometimes you can, but you can't really like fake that. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons Pentatonix is so successful. We've been friends our whole lives and we are just choir nerds. So we like listen to Eric Whitacre for fun. So we were making like arrangements that we would want to listen to and didn't really think anything of it. We were so naive with the music industry. We didn't know like what we were supposed to do. And that's kind of what led to our success. And then that's what happens with a lot of artists is then they're like, well, now I'm analyzing the numbers and the success. So I'm going to try to recreate that magic instead of just like following the magic. And I think being able to be out in yourself, it's so terrifying because you think, am I going to ruin my career by doing this? But the irony is it really does it gives you this like powerful energy that can translate into your art.
Connie, I mean, Scott, obviously, music, Pentatonix, solo music, being out are pieces of him. But what are you most proud of your son? Because he is, I can honestly say, one of the nicest, greatest guys
Um,
to be around.
Well, throughout the years, I mean, we had this thing called PPMs, and it was proud parent moment. And he would just perform at something and do a great job on a PPM,
I
Grammy.
love that.
Yeah. So we did that throughout the years, but I got to tell you, in the book, we had to send out release forms and just so we could use people's names. At the end, my oldest daughter, who was helping me with it, said, Mom, let's put in a section that says, hey, if you want to say something to Scott, a note, a memory, anything, feel free to put it here. And I was like, well, people are busy, Lens, but okay, let's try it. So we did. Well, the reaction was overwhelming and all of the things. And I don't know if Scott has read it or not, but I know when I read it, I'm just in tears of how many people throughout his life love him and just who talk about his heart and his good, wanting to help people. And he wants everyone to be successful and just all the wonderful things. I think almost every one of them was like at the end, I love you, Scotty. I'm proud of so many things he's done. But when you have so many people saying what an incredible heart he has and how much they love him, that makes a parent pretty proud too. Because I feel like I raised a good son.
Say that's a testament in part to you. That's so great. The cool thing also with this book, we get to learn, all about Scott. But Scott, I think there is going to be, there's a QR code, right? And then you get to hear an unreleased song. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. The QR code does all sorts of things. It shows you pictures of the past. It takes you like it's really
Love
cool.
it.
It's why a song's gonna come out at the same time as the book as the book called Pray.
What is Pray? What would you describe that as?
Pray is about it's like ironically a really, really fun song. It sounds like a gospel song, but it's about how ridiculous the notion of praying the gay away is.
Oh.
Like how that's not a thing you can do. But I tried.
Connie and Scott, listen, it's such a joy to get to chat with both of you. I'm so excited for this project. Like I said, I think more parents need to read these wonderful chapters about a parent supporting their son who just then went on to be a superstar, which we love so much. Just a reminder, everyone, the untold story of Scott Hoying, Pentatonix Star, my son's journey to find harmony in music and life is going to be out May 6th. Like I said, just in time for Mother's Day. Happy early Mother's Day to you, Connie.
Thank you.
Yes, happy mother.
Yeah. And Scott, great to see you.
Good to see you.
Say hello to Mark for me, of course, and I hope to see you all soon.